All right, everyone, and welcome in to Wagers on Campus college football podcast. And today we are discussing the Big 12 in 2025. Big 12 football actually kicks us off this year in Dublin, week 0. We have Iowa State versus Kansas State, rivalry game, Farmageddon. But today we're going to talk about players to watch this year in the Big 12 conference, and we're going to just talk Big 12 football. I'm Mayor. Thank you for tuning in and checking us out. And I am here with Burns, and we are going to be talking ball. Burns, how's it going, brother?
Hello. It's going well, Alex. It's been a long time. It's been 24 hours since I've seen your uh, chiseled, handsome face. And I'm just giddy to the gills to talk P4 football.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought I lost you there for a second. Kind of an abrupt end. But yeah, I'm excited too, man. Looking forward to talking about some of these explosive quarterbacks in this conference, and we'll see who ends up on top at the end of the year. But as the Vegas odds reflect in the Big 12, there is it's tough to pick a winner in this conference. Your favorite is probably sitting somewhere around plus 500 to win the conference. So it's a mixed bag to say the least.
Yeah. Yep. Vegas has one team coming out of here. Obviously, want to see some shakeup. If SEC and Big Ten get the 4 teams they're really levying for, and then we have one group of 5. That's already 9 of 12 teams, and there's only 3 teams remaining to split between 2 Power 4 conferences. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
there's a lot to talk about today. Because Big 12 is a bit of a fibber. Same with Big 10, but we're talking about Big 12 today because there's 16 teams in this conference now. It's not Big 12 anymore.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely has been some recent shakeup in the conference over the last couple of years. Did you happen to see Arizona State's head coach Kenny Dillingham, his clip about the practice that they had today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you should check it out. It was a really good clip. He was basically like, "We had a great practice today for a bad team." He's like, "Hey, someone has to go 5-7. Why not us?"
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's what you like out of your young guy, your young coach. Still brings the moxie to the public forums. Uh, listen, it goes under the radar. That team last year was picked last. And just goes for some of the figureheads within college football that get the notoriety, and some of the people that actually know what they're talking about. Just kind of on a lower independent scale, maybe didn't have that, but. Yeah, I think we should today weed out our ASU of 2025. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Did you see Big 12? They didn't have preseason rankings for the teams this year.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Why do you
Got a
think
little.
they elected to not do rankings? Do you think they didn't want to sway like AP voters early on in the season?
Well, I just think they're eating crow. I think kind of lost all accountability, or, geez, what am I looking for? Lost all credibility by overlooking ASU so poorly.
Yeah, and picking teams like Oklahoma State to dominate the conference
Yeah, yeah,
or Arizona.
man, that's something that's. Whew, we will talk about later, but we won't talk about them for a while because Oklahoma State, what the hell has happened to Stillwater?
Yeah, man. I don't know if Mike Gundy's time is coming to an end as the head coach of that program. I don't know if it has anything to do with some of the new rules in college football and just kind of the shakeup what we've seen over the last couple of years. You think that's part of it?
I think he was not so warm to the transfer portal, and similar to Clemson, but it's shown more. Obviously they can't recruit as well as Clemson, and this year Gundy took a $1 million pay cut to stay on board. It was up in the air if he was even going to come back, and they really hit the transfer portal hard. So you'll have to wonder going forward if this sets the tone for specific coaches that don't want to hit the transfer portal. If you can't back it up with the results on the field, you're either out of here or you're taking a pay cut.
Yep, for sure. Scott Frost back as head coach at UCF after working a job that he was unhappy with at Nebraska. So good for Scott. And Texas Tech spent more money than T-Pain in a strip club. They were just signing players left and right. Texas Tech was competing with schools like Ohio State and Georgia for talent this offseason. So I'm very interested to see if all of that spending pays off this year, and then if it pays off in the couple of years moving forward.
Yeah, I think now that they landed the tackle for a couple years, what it seems like, somehow doing contracts now. Listen, not salty that he didn't go to Ohio State. You got to get your bag wherever you can. It's just you can't expect these kids to just sign like the Magic 8 Ball or whatever these recruiting sites produce now is just a load of shit. At the end of the day, it comes down to what's the final offer at the witching hour. It seems like that's what the kids care about the most. As for Scott Frost, man, incredibly relatable. Asked about his what he learned from Nebraska, don't take the wrong job. I mean, you got it lined up in Central Florida, and you go to Lincoln, Nebraska because you went to school there? What? You imagine me not just moving back to Toledo just for like the sake of a job? No other potential reasons?
He was such a coward for that answer. Honestly.
I love it. I love it. It's a cute monkeys relatable.
Just deflecting all responsibility. Don't take the wrong job. Wasn't anything to do with me.
Well, I got to be honest. I love where he's at in the UCF mind frame. And yeah, I really don't have any expectations for this year. But man, when we preview the conferences next year, I wouldn't be shocked if we have a future on UCF to win the conference.
West Virginia also sees a former coach come back in Rich Rodriguez. He was most recently over at, was it Jacksonville State?
Yes.
So Rich Rod returns to West Virginia as they look to get back on track. Houston Cougars, brand new facilities for Houston. There was a cool video I saw of all the players checking out the brand new locker room and the training facilities. And I mean, it is so nice. And Houston brings in one of our favorite quarterbacks on this podcast, Connor Wegman, to be their starter this season. Thoughts on that?
Oh boy. I'll never forget getting got with that Twitter Twitter deepfake or dub on what Connor Wegman sounds like, and it was the dude from Mississippi? No, South Carolina.
Xavier Legette.
Yeah, Legette. Yeah. Over Connor Wegman. Oh man! After he just like absolutely shit the bed first quarter, and that tweet goes out. Like, oh wow. Anyway, we'll see. In our preseason all conference, Houston came in with our lowest representation at one player on all three conferences. Willie Fritz is a great head coach. He's shown a lot of promise in the second year of his coaching stance, and we'll see. Maybe this is just a team we're completely overlooking.
For sure. I'm curious to watch them as well. They had a pretty good defense last year, but they couldn't score for shit. They only scored 18 touchdowns all season long on offense across 12 games. So we'll see how they are this year. Just kind of jumping around here, just talking some different schools. Utah, very interesting squad this year for Utah. Cam Rising, that whole roller coaster is no longer, and they bring in Devin Dampier to be their starting quarterback. He was at where was Dampier? New Mexico, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty rude of you to mention Cam Rising and not mention a moment of silence right after. One of the college football quarterbacks, for sure. Attempted 7 years.
Yeah. Did he? And he got denied?
I think it was behind closed doors, and he's just like, I need to hang it up. But I think we should have custom made banners for Utah the last 2 seasons of just the banner reads potential national championship if Cam Rising is playing.
That's fair.
Because I think every single week we would record on Tuesday or Wednesday, and the injury report obviously doesn't need to be in place until like the day of for college. And it was like, well, I like Utah up until 6 points if Cam Rising is playing. Every single week it was a bell cow.
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. Like literally every single week we were having this discussion. But Utah, man, I was doing some research on them, and it sounds like that once again that their lines, offensive line, defensive line, they're going to be nasty. I think some of that is to do with the talent. I think some of that is to do with the head coach and just overall the mentality within that program. But very interested to see kind of what an under the radar Utah team could possibly do this season, because they're kind of just sneaking in the background. No one's really talking about them all that much.
Yeah, I think if you look at this from an outsider's perspective, as someone that didn't watch Big 12 outside of the end of the season, you're going to hear a lot of the same diagnosis. Great defense. Where are the points coming from? Unfortunately, so similar to what we talked about in the MAC yesterday, it's just where are these teams going to get offensive production? It's like even some of these teams that we're going to talk about with good quarterbacks, even they stalled last year. But yeah, you're going to need to be able to win in more ways than one, and that's why I think this conference is so wide open.
Definitely. Just a couple other quick notes. Arizona returns quarterback Noah Fafita. Arizona had a great 2023 and a pretty disappointing 2024. They did bring in a new coach last year. I think I can't remember his name, but I think he's firmly on the hot seat at Arizona.
Who? Jed Fish? No.
Yes.
He went to Washington.
Yeah, not Jed Fish.
He left for Washington.
Brent Brennan.
Yeah. Fucking Step Brothers sounding ass.
Was that the dude? Who was wearing the Lays? Was that Brett Brennan?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it was him. So Arizona, yeah, I mean, they returned Fafita. I mean, he's a household name. College football fans know who he is. In 2023, he threw for 25 touchdowns, almost 3,000 yards, back-to-back seasons. So, yeah, just wanted to mention them. Keeping the train moving. We have a lot of quarterbacks to watch in this conference, and I think this conference is full of really talented quarterbacks. And we're going to talk about them here in just a minute. But any other notes, any other thoughts, just kind of overarching on the Big 12 this year?
I mean, current notes, shout out to Dion for what seems like a successful surgery. for his cancer diagnosis, which is obviously always very scary. But seems like he's back with the team today. He was at practice. So, and all reports say spirits were pretty high coming from that. So, love to see that from our guy, Dion. Obviously, a polarizing figure, but I know myself and mostly you have been big Colorado supporters, not detractors. So, always love to see what Dion's up to.
Yep. Very happy for Dion. Hope he is 100% healthy or as close to it as possible as he coaches the Buffs this year. And yeah, I'm excited about this conference. There's a lot of juice. There's a lot of good players, good storylines. So let's dive right on in to our preseason awards. And our graphic isn't working today on Canva. So we're just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. So Burns, who do you have as your MVP of this conference?
Yeah, Sam Leavitt, Arizona State, is preseason MVP. I think that's somewhat polarizing. There's a lot of pushback on Arizona State. Can they do it again? I mean, their numbers are only 7 or 8.5 win total. Obviously, you lose Cam Scatabo. That opens up a lot of lanes for a quarterback like Leavitt, who's had a lot of question marks over his career. But you return just about everyone. They have the best returning production in the conference, one of the best in the entire country. And then a player like Jordan Tyson, who wasn't even playing in their playoff game. And, they were maybe a targeting call away from being in the semifinals and getting fucking demolished by Ohio State. Would have had that courtesy. But no, I'm kidding. Sam Leavitt, though, is going to return, and with all this extra, gas, like you just said, Dillingham's not going to let him fall asleep at the wheel. I think he's a good pick for MVP preseason.
Yeah, I think he's a very good pick for the MVP. Football scouts talk about Sam Leavitt as someone who's going to translate to the NFL. They say he's got an NFL arm, he's got an NFL body prototype, and the expectations are high for Leavitt. I think some people maybe who didn't watch Arizona State super closely last year maybe think it was kind of like a flash in the pan type deal, but I don't think those are the expectations of the program, and I don't think that's ultimately what's going to end up happening. I expect them to be good again.
Yeah, for sure. And our, let's see, our newcomer of the year, there's a few options. This one's definitely a stretch. Caden Salter, quarterback, Colorado. Many people feel like this is a defensive Colorado team. I think Salter's, maybe this is a detriment and I'm getting fooled, but maybe a little bored at Liberty to result in a down year last year. And, that's not necessarily a great feature to have when it comes to results. You can't just turn it on and off in a game like tackle football. That's how you get hurt, Mayor. That's how you get hurt. You got to be on at all times.
Yeah.
But I believe him. I believe Dion. And Pat Shermer will be able to get him in the right headspace. He's got competition right behind him and Lewis. So I like him as the newcomer of the year preseason.
Yeah, I like the call. I've heard some people think that Colorado's offense is going to be more efficient this year than even they were last year. So expectations for Salter are high, and I think he's going to a really good program with Dion at the helm to help him grow and develop into the quarterback that he can be. Now, did you talk?
I mean, they just need to establish a run game. That's obviously been the gigantic missing piece the past 2 years. So if they can do that, they'll definitely find some positive results in the quarterback position.
For sure. And then offensive and defensive player of the year.
Yeah, defensive player of the year. We got Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. I mean, this dude is a tackling machine. Just you line him up in front of me, I'm going to tackle him. Last year, he had 127 tackles, led the Big 12, 11 tackles for a loss. Sheesh. And 5 sacks at the linebacker position. I mean, that's sickening.
3 forced
77.
fumbles,
Yes.
interception.
And 77 of those were solo tackles, which is fucking insane.
And he looks like a fucking demon.
He does. He's got like the natural cowboy collar on. Just traps to the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this dude he's good. He's a player that's going to be absolutely causing havoc at the line, like Rodriguez. And then this is a bit of a stretch for offensive player of the year. Kind of in between on this one, between Jordan Tyson and Dylan Edwards. So maybe I give it each. But I think Dylan Edwards, first, he's going to be getting a full workhorse load on Kansas State this year from a team that's always physical. Avery Johnson needs to be able to rely elsewhere, not just his legs. I think Dylan Edwards is ready for that key role, and I fully expect Kansas State to compete for a Big 10 title or Big 12 title. And I think that'll result in Offensive Player of the Year. Why I'm so high on him to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson is a stud over at Arizona State, and Dylan Edwards is just so damn explosive. But don't just think of him as a scat back. He also can bring some power as well. But he's fast. He's just fast.
Yeah,
he looks fast on TV.
I mean, listen, if you're going to be at Kansas State, size does not matter. They produce under 5'6" running backs to the NFL, quite literally at the highest clip in the FBS.
Yeah, it's because their quarterbacks are always so fucking big.
Yeah,
Will Howard,
that's true.
Avery Johnson, Josh Freeman, fucking monsters.
Man, Colin Klein. Yeah, these boys are big. They make them big down there. Okay, let's see. As for our all-conference segment, I got that up and running. Canva can't hold us down from that. So
all Microsoft Excel, baby.
All right. Share screen. All conference. Boom. So yeah, a lot of representation here in yesterday, different conference, obviously, MAC. We talked about 3 teams head and shoulders above everyone else representation, but no one over double digits here. Texas Tech and Iowa State tied at the top with 9 representation of our top 3 teams preseason, and then Arizona State with 7. And then after that, no team has more than 5. What were your initial thoughts looking at this all-conference team when you put your final stamp on it?
Yeah, I mean, it looks about right, and my dog is about to start barking because Nikki just pulled in the driveway. But so if I have to put myself on mute, that's why. But the bottom looks right to me. Houston only with 1, Oklahoma State, Arizona, UCF with 2. The top teams have the most guys, so it all makes sense in my mind. Texas Tech was a team that stood out to me. Looking at our first team, looks like they have 4 representations on our first team, all Big 12. So that definitely stood out. Yeah, I would say that is a good starting point.
Yeah, and Texas Tech, I mean, bringing Quentin Joyner, USC, obviously tough to replace Taj Brooks, right? a name last year that we were even tossing around. The one running back that could win the Heisman would have been Taj Brooks, because obviously we couldn't have expected what Ashton Genty could do when we were
Ollie
talking
Gordon.
priest. Oh yeah, Holly, man. Oh, I mean that name fell off the face of the earth. That feels like 3 years ago that Ollie Gordon was in the mix. Yeah, you're totally right.
I wonder who he got drafted by in the NFL.
Man. Yeah, so I think they're athletically there, but Taj Brooks is a big void that they need to fill. Baron Morton is someone that I am a big fan of. Their schedule lines up pretty comfortably to start off. We go through these schedules and team by team in what we feel like will represent each conference. They're going to beat Pine Bluff and Kent State and Oregon State to start the season, all three at home. Do you have any disagreeing points there?
No, I definitely expect him to win those games. And just talking about Texas Tech before diving further into the schedule, dude, their receivers are pretty stacked. If you took a look, we have one representation on our second team, another one on our third, and then an honorable mention that could have made our third as well. So they're going to have weapons.
Yeah, I mean, this might be the biggest expectation since Crabtree days, right?
I would say so. Graham Harrell.
I mean, I'll never forget that Halloween game where I got lucky in a stairwell as right after Crabtree caught that winning touchdown.
Wow, dude. Yeah, that's one of those games where I remember where I was, oddly enough. I was me and my dad were watching it in a hotel room, and I think we were going to Packers Chiefs in Kansas City the day after, something like that. So
Man, two very different same place and time memories.
I know, right?
I was at a Columbus house party, and yeah, not to get too graphic on this not PG show, but yeah, just funny. I'll tell you off air, but you got to bleep that one out. At Utah, first road test of the year, week 4. This is where I'll let you stand on your Utes, whether or not you think they make a stance here.
Oh boy. That's interesting because they don't really play anybody, and then all of a sudden they have to go into Utah and play that team. Boy. We'll go Texas Tech.
Wow, 4-0 start into the bye week. That's going to be a high ranking for the Red Raiders. A lot of other teams with one loss. I'd predict top 15 to top 10 ranking going into week 5 at Houston. Texas Tech is a better team. Back-to-back road games. They should win it, though.
Yep.
And then Kansas comes to Texas Tech. This is where you need to decide on where you think Kansas will be this year. I'm favorable to Kansas.
And I don't have a problem with that, but I don't see them coming into Texas Tech and beating them.
All right, you did this yesterday where we made like Buffalo like 11-1 on the season. Just first team he sees, just we got national.
Whatever. Let's continue.
I'm kidding. We cover the best teams first. They're going to be winning records. Big showdown. This would be huge. I'm assuming we'll go at Arizona State. That's a big game for Arizona State to host that one this year.
Yeah, I'd probably go Texas Tech in that one too.
Whoa. Oklahoma State will be bottom dwelling. Texas Tech. Yeah, there's a little bit of a rivalry here. Any sort of sleepwalking before Kansas State?
No, we're going to say Texas Tech is a wagon at this point.
Okay. And then they're going to lose this night game at Kansas State. It's for sure going to be a night game, right?
We'll give K-State the dub.
Wow, first loss of the season. Brigham Young, huge question marks that we'll address. Texas Tech should beat them at home and Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get a bye week before West Virginia.
Yeah, this is going to be the last game of the season. We're going to go Texas Tech.
Wow. 11-1. 8-1 in conference. You can basically pencil them into the conference championship already. The Red Raiders.
Going through the schedule, Burns, it feels very realistic to my eye and very doable.
I also see 4 losses here potentially. So I agree they could be 11-1, but I could also see them dropping to Utah, Kansas, and Arizona State along with Kansas State.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's a big statement there. That's a put a national championship future on them at 150-1.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No, I'm kidding. They are 151 to win the title.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Iowa State is the second most represented, and this is just classic Iowa State. They're going to have more represented on the defensive side, but Rocco Becht, shout out to Solid Verbal Podcast, a hilarious nickname, the Boar, best of all Roccos. Love Rocco Becht here. He's represented as our second team quarterback. And then just the big hog mollies, dude. We got offensive linemen, got Will McLaughlin at linebacker. We got Cooper Abel at linebacker, and then they're going to have to replace 2 1,000-yard receivers, and Chase Sell makes our third team all conference, and then Carson Hansen at running back is where we expect this team to kind of bounce back. But outside of those 2 receivers, I got to be honest, Mayor, they didn't bring in that much on the recruiting trail, and this is underwhelming from Campbell, 13th in the recruiting trail for Iowa State. That worries me, but everyone else is back when it comes to offensive line and this defense mostly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you already mentioned a lot of the guys. They also have two guys on our Big 12 first team, Dominic Orange at defensive line and Jeremiah Cooper at safety. Iowa State, Burns, they've done a pretty good job of building a culture of winning, it seems like, over there. And I kind of feel like right now is the highest that I can remember it. And maybe it's because they almost made the college football playoff last year, and maybe that's why, or maybe it's because of their quarterback, Rocco Becht, who people say is really, truly the real deal. What are your thoughts on Rocco specifically?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think Campbell has started to produce some really quality quarterback play at Iowa State. It's shown in more than one. Obviously, Super Bowl participant Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, would be the biggest name. But listen, you're not going to hear any bad words from me out of Matt Campbell's team.
Yeah. So as we look at their schedule going into this season,
the only thing that I wanted to bring this up as we talked about each individual team that we've talked about Lucky and Heartbreak. Texas Tech fell under, and Iowa State. They both had 3 net close losses. And if you've been following around on the podcast, our entire preseason coverage, net wins. They both had 3 close net wins. That's less than a win with less than 1 possession. That doesn't bode well from history over the last 20 years. 76% of the time you've had the same or worse record the following season when you're sitting at 3 net wins. So Iowa State and Texas Tech both represented by that number.
Yeah. So kicking things off against Kansas State, I know we're torn on this game just to start the season, at least as we record the pod. I like Kansas State. You like Iowa State.
Yeah. I'm trending more towards Kansas State, though.
Okay.
I like Iowa State to beat South Dakota. Our friend of the program, Nick, believes Iowa will always dominate Iowa State, and it tends to happen in recent history.
Yeah, I don't think this year we'll go Iowa State.
Oh, okay. And the Cyclones will beat the Red Wolves, Arkansas State, before they head into a bye, and then they get Arizona at home off the bye. That should be a win.
We'll give them a win.
And then this is a Cincinnati on the road at Cincinnati. Don't sleep on these Bearcats.
Yeah, we'll go Cincinnati. It's a tough game.
That's an upset. And then in Boulder the following week after a loss.
I'll say Iowa State bounces back.
Okay. And they host BYU.
Give them a win.
Host Arizona State.
Give them a win.
Wow. Okay. Then at Texas Christian University.
We'll say TCU wins that one.
Wow. I'm sure you didn't even know that TCU stood for Texas Christian, did you?
No, you taught me something new. I always thought it stood for Toads Curled Up.
Damn, you freaky boy. And that heads us into the bye week, the Toes Curled Bowl game, where Kansas comes into Iowa State. Always a spicy game.
Yeah, it is. We'll go Iowa State at home.
And then Iowa State at Oklahoma State to end the year.
Iowa State.
Whoa. So Iowa State finishes the year 9-3, 6-3 in the conference. That was their record. I believe they had 9 wins last year. Is that right?
Not sure.
Oh my gosh. Where's our stat guy at? What the hell? This is great podcasting here. I have it right at the tip. There we go. 11-3. So that would fall under a worse record to that percentage. So good call, Alex.
Yep.
Next up, Arizona State and Kansas State. I'll take Arizona State. You know, my guy Sam Levitt, MVP. I have him first team, all conference, as we see here. And then Jordan Tyson, obviously representing their other first team, along with Xavier Alford. All three of those guys will be playing on Sunday for sure. Kanye, he's moving from Army to Tempe. Talked about this in the AAC preview, but man, what a change of pace. Hopefully this guy is able to leave his dorm room, if you catch my drift, and get to the playing field with that complete change of scenery.
Yep.
And then CJ Fight and Keith Abney on defense. It's 6 players in our first 2 teams. So this team has some dudes that are ready to play.
Yeah, sure do. Obviously coming off an incredible season in 2024. They were just inches away from beating Texas. But that'll be hard to replicate this year. So let's go through the schedule. Or do you want to talk K-State?
No. The only thing is that Arizona State, when we get into their schedule, they're not going to escape the grasp of the close win Reaper. They are actually one higher than the last 2 teams we talked about. Arizona State had 4 net close wins last year. Teams with 4 or 5 close net wins over the last 20 years, 85% of the time have the same or less wins the next season. So we already have them dropping 2 games before we even look at it, but they will beat Northern Arizona. It's a weird game in Starkville week 2.
Oh, you're not lying, brother. I kind of like Mississippi State.
To pull some shocking early. And then Texas State last year, this game was an absolute shootout, but Arizona State did grant them the favor of going on the road. Now it's at home in Tempe. I think Arizona State learned their lesson and takes care of business.
Me too.
Baylor, this is a big game early. Arizona State's schedule, as you can see, is very tough when it comes to seeing all the top teams in the Big 12.
It's brutal. Oh, my God. You can make the call.
I think Baylor beats them, but I think Arizona State bounces back before the bye week and beats TCU. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep. And then Utah is a tough place to play. I don't see Arizona State escaping with a win.
Agreed.
Then they'll lose to Texas Tech before they win against Houston. And then drop. This is a tough 4-game stretch here. They drop to Iowa State to bring their record to 4-5. And then they have a decent close to the season. West Virginia at home, they should win. You think they beat Colorado on the road late in the season?
No, not based on the year that they're having.
Yeah, and then the rivalry game where they have dominated completely. They should beat Arizona.
Yeah.
So that's a 7-5 season. 6-6. I'm sorry, they're barely making a bowl.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really think the schedule did them absolutely no favors at all. Arizona State would say, hey, we're a good team too. We're going to win some of those games that we maybe marked them down as a loss. But, I mean, you said it. To start the year, week 2 at Mississippi State, that is such a bizarre game. I think Mississippi State is going to have a chip on their shoulder this season after last year's very poor performance. And they started to play better at the end of the year too. So I do expect them to be better. And yeah, man, at Baylor, are you kidding me? TCU, Utah, Texas Tech. Like you said, that 4-game stretch is awful. And then they have to play Iowa State right after that.
Well, if not for nothing, if you're a season ticket holder, we do have them 6-1 at home. So, at least you're getting your bang for your buck.
Yeah. Let me check their over-under in Vegas for win total because now I'm
8.5.
8.5. All right.
Yeah. So you like the under quite a bit there.
I would say so. I was going into this podcast not trying to flame Arizona State, but after going through their schedule, yeah, I do.
That's fair. Next up's Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State, extremely high expectations going into 2025. And that starts with their quarterback, Avery Johnson. He got the keys to the car last season as the full-time starter after Will Howard went to Ohio State. And although Avery put up 25 touchdowns, it did kind of feel like an underwhelming year for the Wildcats. They didn't live up to some of those preseason playoff expectations, and they ended up having a good but not spectacular year. When we look at their representation, we've already talked about him. Running back Dylan Edwards, he is explosive. He is a playmaker. You will see him all over the field when you're watching K-State play. They also have first-team tight end Garrett Oakley. So a couple weapons for K-State and an offensive lineman, Sam Height. He made the squad as well. And then as far as our second team goes, they have another offensive lineman in Bryce Foster and a linebacker in Austin Romaine. And then the third team, no representation, but Avery Johnson could be an honorable mention, the quarterback for K-State. So yeah, expectations are high. There's a lot of respect for that program just around college football. As I mentioned to you earlier, Burns, there was no preseason rankings for the Big 12 this year, but they did go to each coach and they asked each coach, you cannot pick your own team. So who do you think is most likely to be playing in the Big 12 championship? And Kansas State had the most answers from the coaches in the conference. So there's a lot of respect for that program, and we'll dive into the schedule here. Starting with a win in Ireland against Iowa State. They're going to come home against North Dakota and beat them. They're going to beat Army at home. So they're going to be 3-0. And then they go to Arizona, which they should take care of business. So 4-0 heading into their bye. And then they play UCF at home. That's a win. And then their first test since really, let's just call it the first test at Baylor, week 7. Who do you like?
Iowa State is first test for sure.
That's kind of what I meant to say.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a tough environment. We're going to probably have Baylor pretty decently. That's going to be a high-profile game. So toss-up games, I just lead towards the home team here.
It's fair.
I think they bounce back against TCU in the Purple Bowl.
In the Purple Bowl, yep. And then they have a bye. And then off that bye, they are at Kansas. This is always a spicy game. I'm going to give Kansas State the win here, but I wouldn't be too surprised preseason if Kansas pulled off the upset. Next week, we have them getting a huge win at home against Texas Tech. Then they have another bye week. Coming off that bye on the road against Oklahoma State. Do you think there's any magic for the Cowboys in that one?
I don't think so, no. I think it's a tough season. The Flint water, not still water.
And then week 14, they are at Utah. What do you think?
Oh, man. I think Utah plays spoiler here.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And then close out the season hosting Colorado. They'll win that game.
Does Colorado get their lick back? Because last year, I mean, Colorado obviously was down and then they stormed all the way back and they just needed to beat Kansas State to basically have their path to the Big 12 championship. If you remember that crazy game we were watching at Sid Gold's, if you recall.
I think you're thinking about the Kansas game.
Was that Kansas?
Yeah, when they played K-State, I think it was a Friday night, and Avery Johnson threw a late pick six that gave Colorado the lead, but then K-State marched down the field and scored a touchdown to put the game away. But yeah, you think you're talking about the Kansas game.
Oh, okay. Oh, fuck me then. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I got K-State. I got K-State beating Colorado to close the year.
Well, Kansas State also falls under, just a final note, the 3 net close wins. So we have them at 10-2, Alex. They were 9-3, 9-4 last year.
Okay.
That's 2 teams that were in the positive for close wins in the 3 category, Texas Tech and Kansas State, bucking the trend and getting more wins. You feel comfortable with that still, knowing that stats are on your side. Numbers don't lie.
Yes. I'm going to say yeah. Going through the schedules, I think we've been pretty fair and fairly reasonable. So, yeah, I'll say yeah.
Okay. Totally fair. Just have to ask these hard-hitting questions for you. Got to hold each other accountable.
Move on to the next team.
I am. Baylor. A lot of people's favorite.
Baylor.
To win the Big 12. Dave Aranda, I have listed on the hot seat, to be honest. And Baylor's a lot of people's favorite. So kind of a Xander's conundrum there.
Well, it's interesting with Baylor because defense has been Aranda's calling card as the head coach of that program. And last year, they didn't really have a defense, and they were more so explosive on offense, especially in the second half of the year. But I remember going into the year last year, Burns, the expectations for Baylor were very low, and people were dogging them. And now they're coming into this season with much higher expectations, led with quarterback Sawyer Robertson. A lot of people love Sawyer Robertson. He was second team all Big 12 quarterback on the official Big 12 preseason teams that just came out. And they also have running back Bryson Washington. Bryson Washington made the first team in those Big 12 preseason rankings. And in addition to those guys, they got a first-team wide receiver in Josh Cameron, a first-team linebacker in Keaton Thomas, and a couple of other weapons like Michael Trigg at tight end. So, yeah, very fun team and nice colors too. That green and yellow looks really nice.
And Robinson was able to get over 3,000 yards passing, and he didn't even have the starting role at the beginning of the year. His battle with DeQuan Finn, if you recall, and I believe it was week 2. DeQuan Finn hurt his arm or something, and Robinson just took the starting role and just never looked back.
Yep, exactly.
But they do have a wacky schedule, and they didn't do themselves any favors. So this won't affect their conference schedule. But they open up Auburn, SMU. Auburn at home, SMU on the road.
Yeah, right. You're not lying. Auburn Baylor is such a interesting opening game.
It's definitely like a Citrus Bowl matchup. of like 2 7th place teams in their conference.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about Auburn this year outside of their quarterback, Jackson Arnold, and 2 really good wide receivers over there. But who do you like in this opening game?
I think Baylor steals one, and I think they're more like not steals, but I think they go 1-1. I think they're more likely to win at home and lose on the road to SMU.
Yeah, we'll just play the law of averages. So then they're going to beat Samford in week 3. They're going to beat Arizona State. We have them beating Arizona State in week 4. And then week 5, they are at Oklahoma State. You like Baylor to get the job done?
Sure, but I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be one team. I could see this Baylor team. This is no bye weeks, by the way. This is 4 weeks. This is now 5 weeks in a row. Just kind of fumbling one, dropping one, but I'm good with right now Baylor here in this game.
Okay. And then we have them beating Kansas State in week 6, and then they get a bye, and off that bye, they are at TCU.
Like Baylor, and then I think this is maybe where they fumble. I think Cincinnati has some cards to pull a couple upsets. Not saying they're going to be representing the Big 12 in the conference championship, but I think they can steal a couple this year, play spoiler.
Sure. Baylor comes home to Central Florida. We'll give Baylor the win there. Then they get another bye until off that bye, they are hosting Utah. Who do you like?
I think they win that game.
Yep.
You can't just make Utah just undeniable force here. They still have a lot of question marks. And then Baylor will beat Arizona, and they'll beat Houston. They're 10-2 as well after that brutal schedule.
Yeah.
That would be a very good season, 7-0 at home. We love the home team. I think maybe need to turn those glasses off.
Yeah. Heck of a year in the Big 12 to start. Texas Tech at 11-1, and then Baylor and Kansas State at 10-2 in our projections.
Yep. The next 2 up are Utah. I mean, all these teams here, Utah, BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado, have 5 players represented. All very similar teams in my mind. What's the offense going to look like when we look at these teams, and kind of hinted at that earlier in the podcast. Go ahead and just share a couple names that stuck out to you of those 4, and then we'll dive into their schedules.
For sure. I mean, Chase Roberts, wide receiver at BYU, he's going to be a really good player for that offense, and he's rightfully deserving of that spot. When you look at Utah, we already talked about their quarterback a little bit, and I have already mentioned earlier about their strength on the offensive and defensive lines. They had 2 guys who made the first team all Big 12 offensive line, and then they had another linebacker on defense. So Utah continuing that strong identity in the trenches. Cincinnati, man, Brendan Sorsby, a lot of people like him. A lot of people think he's a baller. I'm excited to watch Sorsby. He's kind of going under the radar a little bit.
I'm a big fan. We talked about him a lot last year. Just needs to find that other X factor, and I think it's really going to be a nut up or shut up time for Satterfield. 8-16 so far. A lot of high expectations coming into this program. They were really cooking with Fickle, and then everything it's kind of leveled out. So I'm optimistic on this team, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then with Colorado, they got some good players across the board. A few offensive linemen, a cornerback in DJ McKinney, a wide receiver in Joseph Williams. They also have another pretty good wide receiver who the name is slipping me, but I know they got some weapons on offense. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of my initial takeaways on those squads.
Yeah, I think, and when we talk about BYU, they're represented on defense there with Isaiah Gasker and Jack Kelly, the classic, just white Mormon name, Jack Kelly. But listen, they have the biggest question mark of all, right? Losing Retzlaff so abruptly, and now they're just stuck with what their quarterback roster was. Very inexperienced transfer from Utah State. It's who they're going to have to roll with, and I don't know, man. I mean, I trust that team at home. I trust the core of what BYU is, and similar to Utah, a very smash mouth type team. I think when we talked about Retzlaff at Tulane, he wasn't the reason that offense was humming to one of their best seasons ever last year, 11-2. He was a part of it for sure, but their identity was more than just him. So they're just a question mark to me. That's really what BYU. I will have zero futures on them.
Overall, I would agree with you. I think you make a good point. I feel like BYU had a lot of close wins last season. I would imagine that that's bound to regress a little bit. And then, of course, losing their quarterback hurts like hell.
Yeah, and Utah, who we're looking at right now, they're going to be the team that is on the opposite side. This is the heartbreak U. We're done with Big 12 on close win teams represented. Utah falls under close loss. They had 3 net close losses last year. Teams with 3 close losses from the previous year, they are the same or better 76% of the time.
Sure. Well, they start their year against UCLA. Very interesting game. Nico, I can never pronounce his last name.
Amaliva.
Nico Amaliva at quarterback for the Bruins. I like Utah in that game. Who do you like?
Man, I like what Foster's doing and at UCLA, but I'm good with Utah. But I think that I might be betting UCLA when we get to that game.
Yeah.
Then we have Utah beating Cal Poly, classic game. And then going on the road to beat Wyoming before they come home and lose to Texas Tech. And then they go, wow, that's a brutal travel there. Go to Wyoming, come back to Utah, go to West Virginia.
That is brutal. We'll give West Virginia a win.
Yep, for a much-needed bye. And then they beat Arizona State off the bye, and then the absolute holy war. An ugly, ugly rivalry here. These two teams hate each other. BYU gets a host this year. What do we say? BYU gets the edge, or too many question marks?
Too many question marks for me. I go Utah.
Okay. And they host Colorado, followed by hosting Cincinnati.
Yeah, let's give them dub.
Dub. Man, and then they're going to drop to Baylor before they beat Kansas State in a massive, massive game. A lot of implications there. And then Kansas to close out the season at Kansas.
We'll say Kansas.
I agree. So that puts Utah at 8-4 for the season, which is an improvement from the previous year. And then Cincinnati. How about Cincinnati up next? We just talked about them. Hosting Nebraska, weird game to start the year.
It's at Arrowhead.
Yeah. Yep. How about that?
So I think that favors Nebraska big time because the fan base is nuts and also much closer.
Oh, not only that, Raiola will be creaming his pants, be near Mahomes' locker room.
That's true. I did forget about that. That could be a distraction.
That could be a big time distraction. Too much pressure.
Distraction.
The jockstrap smell could be just lingering in the air like that SpongeBob. Okay. Cincinnati will beat Bowling Green, and they'll beat Northwestern State to bounce back from a loss, and then they go on a bye week 4 before playing Kansas. Oh, 2 teams I really like. I like Kansas. I like Jalen.
Okay.
Jalen Daniels in his oldest player in college football year.
Yeah.
Or oldest quarterback, I should say.
Healthy Jalen.
Man, fingers crossed. We have Cincinnati upsetting Iowa State next, and then they continue their homestand against Central Florida.
Dub
before going on the road to Stillwater. See, this is the game I think Oklahoma State would beat a feisty Cincinnati team.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
And then beating Baylor for losing to Utah. Then we got Arizona State and BYU both at home before closing out TCU. What do we think? Final 3 games.
Well, they play Arizona, not Arizona State.
Thank you. Yep.
I'll go Cincy in that one, and we'll say they beat BYU as well, and we'll give them a loss to TCU.
That's a strong season from I believe 5.5 win total, 6.5 win total.
Ooh, okay.
So I think we have them right at 7 wins, 7 and 5, 7 and 5. Yep. So that's a stay away bet for sure.
Definitely.
Who else did we talk? We talked about Colorado. Let's take a look at Deion and the boys. They get that tough game we talked about with Georgia Tech. I like Georgia Tech a lot. I think they're superior to a Colorado team that will need a couple games to get together.
Yeah, Brent Key, hell of a coach for Georgia Tech.
Yep. But they get the Blue Hens, which is a FBS game now. Remember, kids. And then they play Houston week 3 at Houston on the road.
I kind of like Houston.
Yeah. Yep. That's a tough 1-2 start, but I think they get it back. We have Colorado beating Wyoming. I think they can handle Brigham Young. And then I think they go on the road and beat TCU to keep a hot streak going here.
Okay.
Or they drop Iowa State, bye week, drop Utah, and then they host Arizona before flying out to West Virginia. Man, that sucks. The Big 12 has that just outsider all the way over on the East Coast.
Yeah, we'll give them a win against Arizona. As far as West Virginia goes, I'll let you make that pick.
We'll go a freaky loss in Morgantown. And that's a 6-6 season for Deion, and you might hang him up after that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds about right, all things considered.
Yep. And then
BYU.
Next up is BYU, who we have 0-5 already. But they're going to beat Portland State and Stanford. I'll go out on a limb, and they'll beat East Carolina. So they're starting the season 3-0.
Okay. Stanford, that could be tricky, as could East Carolina.
We'll see. Before dropping to Buffalo, and then they host West Virginia. I think they should win in Provo.
Okay.
And then on the road at Arizona. Feisty Arizona team.
This is when the wheels come off. Let's go Arizona.
Yep. And then losing to Utah, losing to Iowa State. Bye week, losing to Texas Tech. Losing to TCU.
Yep.
Losing to Cincinnati, and then Central Florida final game in Provo. Central Florida is not winning a game in Provo, Utah in November. I'm sorry.
All right.
So that's 5-7 for BYU, 2-7 in the conference. Okay, and then we'll go into Kansas. They're in the next tier of teams here. Listen, Jalen Daniels in Kansas and Lance Leopold, they've been consistently, there competitively. Listen, they were second in the country in close losses last year, Mayor, with 4. And this will be the last close win, close loss team. They had 4 close losses last year. When a team has 4 close losses, 89% of the time, they are same or better the following year. 89. So
okay,
there really can't be regression in this team when we look at just statistically speaking.
I'm gonna miss watching Devin Neal at running back. He was a very fun player.
Yeah, big time. Yep, and 5-7 last year, so we got to have them at least 5 wins.
They do have a transfer coming in from Alabama, though, a wide receiver, Emmanuel Henderson Jr.
See, that'll be interesting because that's what Jalen Daniels has been missing on the outside.
Right. So we got them beating Fresno State and then beating Wagner to start the year at 2-0, and then they are at Missouri. That's a tough one. We'll go Missouri gets the dub in that one. then they hit a bye, and then they come home after the bye hosting West Virginia. We'll go Kansas. And then we have Kansas beating Cincy at home. And then they take on Central Florida on the road. And what do you think here?
I think Central Florida steals one. A little bit of a spoiler there to a hot start of 4-1 season for Kansas.
Yep. And then the next week losing on the road in Texas Tech, followed by a bye. Then they lose to Kansas State at home, and then they beat Oklahoma State at home, and then they're at Arizona, which we have Kansas winning, and finishing the season 7-5.
I like it. I like. I mean, actually, their win total is, I believe that's right, 7.5.
Whoa.
So that's interesting. I mean, oh man, yeah, I wouldn't touch that, but they're definitely going to be better than 5 wins, and I think this team is a shoo-in to go bowling this year.
Interesting. At 7.5, I might have to consider an under.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally all on the health of Jalen Daniels, right?
I mean, that's a big part of it, for sure. Like, you need the health of Daniels just to get you to the possible over.
Yeah, I mean, that their backup Bean is gone, right?
That man. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Because that dude was electric city.
Yeah, he was. Remember when he got in against, I think it was Oklahoma. That was a crazy game.
Yeah, he's gone. Shit. All right, next up. We're getting towards the bottom here. So TCU, a team that, really a lot of question marks, but cleaned up pretty well when it comes to the transfer portal. Third in the Big 12 when it comes to overall rankings, net transfers. They returned, 7th ranked in the Big 12 on returning production. They just didn't recruit well, but TCU could be one of those feisty teams that we haven't really said a word about so far.
Yeah, they quietly had a good record last year, but they looked really bad in some games in particular, like against SMU. They got their doors blown off, and they lost to Houston by double digits, and Houston was god awful last year. So some inconsistent performances from TCU. Now the good news is that they do still have Josh Hoover at quarterback, who is an absolute assassin with the football. It's just another good Big 12 quarterback. I believe this squad actually lost 3 wide receivers to the NFL draft this year, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I expect TCU to be fun on offense and maybe fun on defense in a bad way. I don't know. They open up the year at North Carolina. Whoa.
There's
Monday night.
I mean, how did they get this? They played Colorado in Deion's first game, and now they get Bill Belichick's first game.
That is weird.
Except Colorado was a dog, 9-point, 10-point dog. Looks like early line is North Carolina, a 2-point favorite. No way Belichick loses his first college game, right?
No way. North Carolina.
And then a weird bye week. It's because they play Monday. They'll beat Abilene Christian, and then boom, big in-state game hosting SMU.
Yeah, big rivalry game and a big revenge game for TCU. So we'll go TCU.
Wow. Okay. I like it. Before they lose to Arizona State and Colorado, and Kansas State and Baylor. Wow. 4-game slide. That's tough. But they go on the road after a 4-game slide to West Virginia.
Whoa. We'll give them a win.
All right, that gets them bowl eligible. Bye week, we have them beating Iowa State, beating BYU, and then revenge against Houston. So they close out the year, hottest team in college football, 5 wins, and to a 7-5 record.
If it wasn't for that damn midseason slide.
Gosh, God bless. And their win total is 6.5.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then moving down the win total board, let's go to Cincinnati. No, we did Cincinnati. West Virginia is 5.5 win total.
Okay. West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez back as the head coach of that program, and they got a tough schedule, at least to start the year. I know they play Pitt very, very early on. You pulling that up?
Yeah, I clicked it. There we go. Yeah,
All right.
Robert Morris and Ohio. I've West Virginia starting off hot, 2-0, gets the big dogs.
Yep, and then a huge rivalry game hosting Pitt.
The backyard brawl, man. This is an incredible game at Heinz Field. I mean, I just like Holstein and Des Reed and Pitt. I really like that Pitt team, and we'll talk about in the ACC.
Yeah, it's such a huge game early on in the season for West Virginia, and they have a ton of transfers, a lot of players left. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I think this is going to start a very nasty slide because we have them losing to Kansas, West Virginia, BYU before a bye. I think they lose to Central on the road while we have them losing to TCU. And then we can give them a win against Houston.
Sure. We did have them beating Utah in that stretch, though.
Oh, we did. Yep. I did misspeak there. Before they beat Houston and then beat Colorado. Followed by losing to Arizona State and Texas Tech to close out a 5-7 season. All things considered, I think that'd be a positive trend. Rich Rod is definitely trying to, quickly get his stamp on this program, but you can't really have much expectations out of this 5.5 Vegas win total.
Yep, I agree.
And then rounding out, let's go to Scott Frost. Let's see what his job is up to in Central Florida. Boy, they made it a cupcake for him, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Get the campus talking early.
Hosting Jacksonville State and then hosting North Carolina A&T. We got Central Florida starting 2-0, hitting the bye, and then they're still at home against North Carolina. We got North Carolina winning that game.
For sure.
And then Central Florida dropping to Kansas State. Come home, beat Kansas on the road, L to Cincinnati, back home, beat West Virginia, bye week, on the road, lost to Baylor, and then at home against Houston.
I think he gets them to. I think he scratches and claws this team to a bowl, 6-6.
Wow.
Yeah, I just think there's something in the water down there for Scott Frost and UCF. I don't know how to explain it, but I think this team is going to be bowling.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Tavion Jackson at quarterback. They got some skill at the position. All right. So the bottom three teams, Oklahoma State, Houston, Arizona, combined 5 players represented on all 3 of our teams, all conference teams. Let's start in Stillwater with Gundy. Man, they'll beat UT Martin, but go to Autzen Stadium week 2. That's a tough schedule.
Very much. That's a loss to Oregon. Bye week, home against Tulsa. We got them winning. And then home against Baylor, we have Baylor winning. And then Oklahoma State on the road at Arizona. We're going with Arizona. And then back home, hosting Houston.
I think Houston's the better team.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. And then beating Cincinnati at home, nice little home win for them. And then dropping 2 straight road games to Texas Tech and Kansas before a bye, losing to K-State out of the bye, losing to Central Florida, losing to Iowa State. So they finished the year 3-9.
Tough. And then we go down to Texas way, Houston, or they stay in Texas for the first 2 weeks of the season. Open with Stephen F. Austin. This isn't a basketball court, so don't expect an upset there. And then the triple option with Rice. Man, can't wait to just follow Rice all season.
I know. You're excited.
They'll beat them, though. Houston starts out 3-0. Bang, bye week. Then they go to Oregon State. That's a win. 4-0. What happens? Because we have them losing everywhere else. They're 5-6 currently.
Yeah. The only game we didn't pick was Arizona at Houston. We'll go Houston in that one.
And they get to bowl eligibility. Wow, looking dire from an outside perspective. But yeah, that means we have them lose. Whoa, wow. Start out 6-1 and have them losing the final 5 games.
I mean, when you look at it, they start out 4-0 and then they host Texas Tech. I mean, if that ends up happening, that'll be the hype. The hype will be off the charts.
Yeah, game day might be in Houston for that game.
Right.
Wow. Oh, man. I might change. Man, this West Virginia game might get changed. Can we change this West Virginia game?
Sure.
All right, 7-5.
We can do whatever we want. It's
That's
our
true.
pod.
Yep, 7-5, Houston. And last but not least, Arizona, already sitting with 2-8. Listen, Timmy Chang in Hawaii. This could be one of those G5 upsets.
Okay, you make the click.
Bang. They'll beat Weber State, though. Shout out Dame.
Shout out Dame.
And that's we have them in conference play. We have Arizona 2-8. So those 2 games are the only 2 undecided games, 3-9 on the entire season. When we look at this conference top to bottom, Texas Tech and Baylor are your representatives in the conference championship game, with Kansas State losing the tiebreaker. Wait, that can't be. Oh, yeah. 8-1. How does Kansas State plays 10 conference games?
That's what it says.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
I don't think that's accurate.
Iowa State, Arizona, Central Florida, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech. Scroll down.
Oh, yeah, it looks like they do.
Wow. How weird is that?
It is weird. Anyway, so Texas Tech 6-1, Baylor 8-1 to win the conference. Who do you have taking the Big 12 conference this year?
We'll go Texas Tech. All that money ends up turning into a playoff appearance.
Yeah. I don't really agree with this. I think Kansas State wins, but since we're picking those 2 teams, I'll take Baylor. And Dave Aranda is firmly on the absolutely cool seat after this season. We did want to talk about how, let me pull this back up here. I've got my odds in front of me. Last year, Arizona State, we mentioned, was picked last. They made the college football playoff, almost made the semifinals. To win this conference, the leader is 5-1. This is wide open conference. Who do we think on the bottom half of this conference is a bet that you would be willing to place to win this conference, looking at these teams?
I think I would probably go with Cincinnati.
35-1?
Yeah, I'd go with Cincinnati if we're just talking dark horses, and I'd go Houston at 40-1.
I think those are 2 good ones. Obviously, I'm on board with Cincinnati. Kansas is technically right at the halfway point. I like them 18-1, and I could see Colorado 33-1, just because they have so much ambiguity and question marks, but so much talent inside that roster and locker room, where if they can get some running game going, this team definitely has the talent to win this conference, because there's no big bad giant waiting for you at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, Dion has defied the odds his whole life, so
That's true.
he's a winner.
Yeah, I like those teams, but we can agree Oklahoma State, Arizona, West Virginia, Central Florida are not going to repeat the Arizona State bottom of the barrel, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Any closing thoughts on the Big 12? I think it'll be interesting. Do we think more than one team? If this is the outcome we see, they're definitely getting 2, possibly 3 teams in. Do you think more than one team will be represented in the playoff when it's all said and done?
Yes.
Yes. Top 2 there, Texas Tech, Baylor, or Kansas State?
I mean, we'll say Kansas State.
interchangeable with those three?
No, I would say Texas Tech and K-State are at the top for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I would have to agree with you. I'm still a little hazy on Texas Tech. I think they might be a year early, but I think two of those three, maybe Iowa State, but they seem to kind of choke towards. They have to kind of prove it to us before we can put that out there. So I think that's pretty good. I think we did it.
Yep, we did it, and it was a blast breaking it all down. Thank you for checking us out and listening to our Big 12 football preview. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye. ACC SEC next week. Love you guys.